Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cat, all right.
I'd like to begin with a question today. A question for you, Jer. May I start with a question for you?
Yes.
Which of these two things do you think is most likely to occur first? 1, the Kings get their defense fixed. 2, Phantom gets his glasses fixed. Which of those two things do you think is more likely to happen first?
Well, I'll get to that with the second, because watching that introduction,
I know you have a hard time with it.
I hope I call the timeout to tell Jim Peterson, for God's sakes, watch the back cuts.
He gets beat every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now.
Oh,
yeah.
I hope I did. I don't know.
It looked like that was what you were
That
thinking.
was what was on your mind.
My God. And then now your question is,
Which gets fixed first, the Kings' defense or Phantom's glasses? This has been his
There's an order in for this, Jerry.
Phantom's glasses.
Just so you know, there's an order in for this. So
I mean, I've
at
watched several months, so I'm fairly confident that even Phantom, with his limited drive to get his glasses fixed,
I can't disagree, but there is paperwork it's in the works.
In the works,
It's in the works, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't even have to think about that one.
No.
did you?
No.
Well, I know it was last week, Phantom. You were saying, and I know a lot of people are saying this. You know what? Defense, schmefence.
That's what I
pretty
said.
much what you said.
Yeah.
Defense, schmefence.
And I stick with that.
Well, here's the thing. The
Offense, schmoffense is the problem.
Not only does the former coach of the Kings disagree with you,
One
the
of them.
current coach of the Kings apparently disagrees. This was Mike Brown after the Minnesota loss.
Again.
This is a quote. He said, "That is fool's gold if we think as a team and organization that we're going to just beat teams by outscoring them. It's not going to happen, especially come playoff time," end quote. Fool's gold. And I thought it was interesting. He said, as a team and organization, if we think that, we are wrong. It's not going
So
to
is
happen.
he sending a message to the organization?
No.
the
It
front office
it says right here, and Phantom can kiss my butt.
I didn't want to read
It did
that.
say
but-
that.
Yeah.
I do respect that.
Yeah.
But when he says organization, is there somebody in the front office that thinks they can just outscore people and that's all they have to do? Is that what he's saying? Because all I said was, as long as that's all we can do is score the basketball, as you would say, Jerry, let's just embrace that. Unfortunately, if you don't do that, my whole claim falls to the ground, because if I'm trying to outscore everybody and we're averaging like 102 points a game or something recently, that's not going to work, because defensively, their other team in the last 2 losses is scoring about what we give up every game, but we are not scoring anymore, so that's not going to be a good recipe.
Well, I think teams have adjusted to the Kings' offense. I mean,
Yes, that's the
teams
problem.
do scout and make adjustments,
And
I
that's
think,
legal now.
and
I know,
it's
I don't
legal,
like that.
and I think that
Like the Lakers scouted on Jim Peterson, and they knew that AC, you could just dive.
And they knew that I wasn't going to call
Go,
a timeout.
Jerry won't call a timeout. There's
Jerry
no
let
way.
it happen.
Because he's not even paying attention. He's worried about Phantom's glasses.
Yeah. He don't even slick his hair back. So what's he know?
Not a real coach.
But you're right. I interrupted. You were making a point about team scouting the Kings.
Well, I mean, I think they have made some adjustments, and it's made a little tougher on the Kings. I think making it tougher on Sabonis to get the ball and move it comfortably, and all that, and that has affected the quality of 3-point shots, this, that, and the other. And to Phantom's point, in effect, he's right. If your offense was so good that if you're out there scoring 140, you don't really have to play any defense then because you'll win. But the Kings aren't good enough to do that.
But they were doing about 125 there for a while.
That was good enough.
As you pointed out last show or the show before, the Kings are getting Sabonis. Now that's getting shut off, so they got to come up with some alternative methods to attack, and it doesn't look like that. That's in the works, I guess, just like my glasses, but that's not been fixed yet.
Let me ask you a really dumb question.
Okay.
And I know it's a dumb question, but watching the last game and the end of the game, and the Kings hung in there, and the Ant-Man is so good, but at the end of the game, it was De'Aaron Fox time, and they could not guard him. It's like it was like Sleepy Floyd, in a playoff game, like every time. So why didn't the Kings do some of that earlier in the game?
That's an excellent question, and I don't understand it. I mean, it does appear that Fox can get to
unguardable.
Yeah, if he scores 84, they're going to get to 130.
He can get to that mid-range 14, 15-foot shot all the time, and the Kings. I think that would be part of the answer to Phantom's question about the offense.
About plan B.
It's like, okay, we need to get Fox involved earlier and make sure he is involved earlier because we can't do the same things that we've been doing. And if you can do it in the fourth quarter, I believe that you can do it in the first.
That's what I was thinking, but I figured,
it's revolutionary, but I like it.
Yeah.
Former
It's out
coach in the league,
of the box.
yeah.
So tell Fox, you're starting the game. So start like
if they can't guard you, go ahead and score every time.
Go ahead and score. Yeah. Well, and
but aren't they going to spend the first quarter trying to run it through Sabonis and trying to do it that? They're going to spend the first quarter trying to do it the way they think they're going to do it. And then if that doesn't work, maybe later in the game they go somewhere else.
But, if they can establish earlier that Fox can go get a shot, it makes it easier than to play off Sabonis. So, I do think, that's a great suggestion. In fact,
he knows the game. Yeah,
it shows Whitey is a little bit ahead of the game.
Yeah, he's coaching at a very high level of girls basketball.
Stop him.
So,
he scores every time. The thing about Sabonis, and I admit initially, it's a little non-traditional. Initially, when I saw him running the offense through him, I was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Clearly, it has been a good idea. I'm fine with it as long as he doesn't do the thing where he's dribbling down court and he does that little hop. It's like,
hop in the middle.
Don't do that.
I don't like the hop.
Yeah,
the hop does not a good look.
A little hippity hop to the barber.
Little elimination of the hop.
A little skippy skip.
Actually, the taller you are, the worse the hop looks too.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing too, and they keep listing. And I saw this on one of the sites, or somebody said they list Sabonis at either 7 foot or 7'1". I was thinking, they can list him whatever they want, but he's not.
Yeah,
he might be maybe 6'10".
Yeah,
maybe. And that's a stretch. All you got to do is see him standing next to Keegan Murray. So, it's like, and that always, quite honestly, pisses me off about the NBA. They get your height there. You got 10 assistant coaches, 5 PR people. Measure them.
One of them has a tape measure. You know that.
Yeah, measure.
Well, that's a reverse Bill Walton.
Right.
Is that
Bill
a thing?
Walton never wanted to be 7 feet. He always wanted to be 6'11".
Or 6'10" and a half.
6'10". There you go. But now this is the other way.
Is it a player thing where players want to be listed a certain height even though it's not true, and you just have to kind of go roll your eyes? Okay, you're 6'5", great. Is that the thing? Is it like etiquette for a player? If that's my height, I don't want anyone changing it, even though if everyone knows it's not true.
Looks good on the roster.
Well, I do think most players, want to exaggerate. I think everybody would like to say they're taller than they are. I always said I was 5'9". I've never been 5'9", but
you're so fast nobody can tell. They can measure you.
But
you're the comet.
Made me look better.
Yeah,
So I think that's part of it. But the truth is, get it somewhere accurate, and they have those measurements during the pre-draft camps and things like
now
that.
It's
and
down to a
and
science.
it's like I think that's kind of, I just think it's a small thing, but do it right.
Yeah, it's like
You know.
Wembanyama. And he looks like he has a chance to be an all-time great, but every time I read about him, he's 2 inches taller than he was.
He's now
the last
7'9".
time I
Yeah,
read
yeah.
about him.
7'9", a
Like,
wingspan of
wait
100
a minute.
108 inches.
I know he's
Yeah,
young, but he's
incredible.
not growing an inch a week. I don't think.
Well,
I
that's
think
like
he is.
Ralph Sampson, was listed in college as 7'4", and then he became 7'2" when you actually measure him. Now
Sure.
that's still
Yeah.
tall, but
Right.
That's still it's not that bad. Yeah,
But-
2 inches
but-
when you're
but it's-
already up there.
but
yeah.
it wasn't 7'4".
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Speaking of questions, and we'll get back to the Kings in just a moment. What's going on with LeBron and his complaint? And lots going on in the NBA. But we want you, if you have we want you to answer a question that we have for you. Here's my idea. Maybe
Okay.
if you guys are okay with this will be the question. And you can reach us. We got the email on there. You can comment right if you're watching live. You can comment right now on YouTube. However you want to reach us on Twitter, whatever. What to you right now, in your opinion? What's the best thing about the NBA? What's the worst thing about the NBA? In your opinion as a fan, assume you're watching us, you're a real fan. What's the best thing about the NBA right now? In your opinion, what is the worst thing about the NBA right now?
Fantastic.
You like those?
I love
Anything
them.
come to
I like
mind?
that.
Oh yeah,
Either one. You got an answer to either
from
one?
both. The best
Yeah?
thing is all the talent, all the young talent, all the talent. And the worst thing is a tie between load management and too many commercials on the broadcast.
We can't have a tie. You got to have one or the other.
too many
Which is-
commercials on the broadcast. If you want people, I was talking about this with Stones the other day. I have been red
him?
zone. I don't usually. I've been talking at him. I don't talk with him.
I thought you guys weren't talking because you told him to shut the front door.
I
and-
did tell him to shut the front door, but that's another thing. But I mean, we've been red zoned out of when we watch TV now. As far as the red zone in football has got everybody. Nobody wants any commercials anymore. And the NBA, a 60-second timeout is 4 60-second commercials. And if you want people to stay with your game, you've got to do something about that. You've got to cut that down in half and talk to your sponsors or whatever about less commercials, you can charge them more or whatever, exclusivity, but you just can't have that many excuses for people to tune out of your game. And I really think it's a problem. I think it's a problem in baseball, and I think it's a problem in basketball. You're giving people too many excuses to tune out. Now, football's the same way, but football's gambling, and nobody's going to leave football because football's football. Basketball doesn't have that place. If you put too many commercials in there, people are going to tune out.
I kind of agree with that. I've always said, too, that in basketball, certainly, you could have the little on the lower screen run the commercials, the crawl while the game's going on. That type of thing could be used a lot more and to cut down and limit timeouts that can be called.
Which they have done at the end of games anyway.
Yeah,
They've done a decent job, a good job with that.
Now, of course, I kind of disagree on the football thing because they really need their.
Oh, they need to, Jerry, but they don't have to.
No, we all will still watch.
Right.
I think the only thing I would say to that is, though, the poor fool that's sitting up in the upper deck at an NFL game.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got to think, what am I doing up here?
It's 4 degrees out. Yeah, you're up in the
I'm
top
just
of the
sitting there.
stadium.
There's nothing happening on the field about
What?
8 minutes out of 10.
Plus, I can't see it when it happens because
And,
I'm
yeah,
up in the top.
and,
yeah,
yeah,
There's
I don't
little
know.
stick figures down there.
Yeah.
I'm watching the jumbotron more than the game.
I'm sure they say, well, it's a good thing I'm drunk because it would be really a
I always say that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's for any
So,
occasion.
Anyway, that's my thought.
Speaking
on
of football, congratulations on your Kansas City Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl.
yeah, it's really good that at least my son, he wouldn't be in kind of like a mood like Phantom is all the time.
Oh, leave me
so
alone.
that-
Yeah. Oh,
so
come
that-
on.
Yeah.
So that helps. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's very fortunate. I mean, there's no doubt that those teams are close, and Cincinnati, a break or so, would have won the game, and the Chiefs kind of got them. And sad for the Niners that they didn't even
have a chance.
They
Yeah.
didn't have a chance. So that's all you can say, and that's why each game is so important and viewed.
Yeah, I wanted to see go ahead with McCaffrey and have him run the Wildcat.
Yeah.
I mean,
The old
you're going to probably lose anyway. It's like
Right.
we are almost certainly going to lose. And if we have a quarterback who can't throw, and he can't throw, I think he's going to have to get Tommy John. So we can't win that way. So what the heck?
Well, I mean, what? Yeah, but what is going to happen? They're going to pack the box. 11 guys in the box. McCaffrey runs it every time, and he gets slaughtered
McCaffrey's
every
going
time.
up top, baby.
He's not going up. Oh, because he threw that one touchdown
Yes.
pass? Yeah, okay. So there. So he has the threat. His arm is the
And
threat,
sometimes I'm
obviously.
pitching to
You're
Debo,
right.
and Debo's
You're right.
going up top.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Have everybody
You
in
had
the back.
almost no chance
Have
anyway.
everybody throw a pass. You
Yeah.
just had no chance. You had no good options, and you don't want to get
Unfortunate.
McCaffrey smashed either.
Yeah. But out the season, so long and everything coming together, then everybody felt it's just
if you're going to lose differently.
Yeah,
You
just
know.
such a massive letdown for
sure.
everybody.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you can't really. I mean, if you're 49, you can't go, well, it's, blame yourself because, I mean, there's just so many things that happen against you that it's just like that. That's just what happened. We have no quarterback. You can't win the conference championship game with no quarterback.
Well, I mean, you're right. There's no way to blame anything because that's part, and that's why you're not taking a risk. It's like, okay, we don't think there's any chance here, but what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
I might have tried to get a higher quality backup for Purdy.
That's what I said earlier.
Yeah,
and
you
I was
might
shot
have.
down by Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Reynolds? Oh, yeah. The
Well,
guy
how
who
many-
let Jim Peterson not know the back door was coming?
What did you? Now let me ask you this. Well, okay, that's very little salty there, wasn't it?
It was.
Wait,
was.
I wasn't the guy dressing the street on the side.
Very salty.
But so exactly who do you think's available?
Colin Kaepernick, come on, give me a break. Let's make it go full circle, baby.
Oh my God!
I'm with Phantom on this, and I understand
that's
your
a
point.
shock.
It's like you're down to your fourth quarterback, but at some point they had to realize, Jimmy ain't ready yet,
Right.
And we're playing in the NFC Championship game. If something happens to Brock, the guy that we have used to quarterback the Sacramento Mountain Lions, so
Right,
that's
yeah.
probably not going to work. So I don't know, maybe someone else. I don't know.
There's hundreds of quarterbacks that come out every year out of college. One of them has to be able to play.
Yeah, again, it might not
I mean,
have mattered.
well,
anyway,
it
but
probably would have.
okay,
Yeah.
But even if
okay, both of you,
Yeah.
name one.
he just did.
Colin Kaepernick, well, that's a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, name one.
I would have traded right before the game for Joe Flacco or somebody, and then no, I don't know offhand.
Christian
a guy.
Ponder. I don't know.
Anybody? There probably were a lot of. Now, Josh Johnson knew the system. That's always a big one.
Yeah.
Well, he knows the system. Well, yeah, but he's not very good, and he can't catch a snap from center, so that's a problem. I just think they could have upgraded that. And again, they have people, as you talked about scouts here. They have people who go out.
No, I don't
and
know about the
people,
Baker Mayfield.
Wait.
Suggest.
and would have been better than Josh Johnson. Yes, absolutely.
Well, how do you get Baker Mayfield?
you give him a call? He's not doing anything.
No, I
Baker,
mean,
would you come back up Brock Purdy in case he gets hurt in the playoffs? No.
We'll give you $50,000 and you can do a couple of commercials. Come on.
Well, he's not available now.
No, of course he's not. But that was Stone's idea, and I'm trying to be better
Well,
with Stone.
Jesus, I mean,
Yeah.
no, these guys are under contract. You don't
Right. I
pick
think-
guys up under contract.
I think Stones is saying they should have acquired him when he became available, but I
That's just
don't
you
know
trying
that
to
he would have
put yourself in
Baker
his
Mayfield
mind.
probably,
That's a
yeah.
tough
Well,
one.
then again,
let
no,
me
no,
out. Yeah.
no. Why would Baker Mayfield have come
agree
when
with
he
you.
was
I don't think he
available?
would have. I don't
wouldn't
think he would have. I don't
He
think
had
he
a
would
place to play with the Rams as
agree
a
with you.
starting quarterback.
I agree with you. So anyway, if you get a chance, we'd love to know the best
Got a
thing
little off
about
track there.
no, not at all.
That's right.
That's why we're here. Best thing about the NBA right now. The worst thing about the NBA right now.
Yeah.
We'd love, and what I'd like to do, and I can't say this for sure yet because I got to find it. I think I have a Jerry Reynolds hoops basketball card, and maybe you could sign it. We could give it to the winner. Would you be okay with that? Or
I would be okay with that.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe you charge for your autographs, which I would certainly understand.
Well, I would if I could. But so far that doesn't
He
seem to be.
charges, he just never gets anything.
No, I right now I pay usually. So would you, will you take this? I'll give you $1 if you'll take it.
If you sign one of these, Jerry, and give me $50, I'll take this off your hands, all right?
Yeah.
back to the defense. Defense.
We never were there. How can we go
Defense.
back?
The Kings right now, their defensive rating last year was 27th, and now it's 21st. So
There
is
you
that?
go.
Can we say, well, it's an
Kicking some butt.
improvement?
Well, you can because you should. I mean, it's gotten better. It's just not good. And Coach Brown, I mean, I think when you've got primarily guys who aren't very good on defense, you're not going to make them into the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons either.
See, that's what it comes down to, is how much could you do to make your team better defensively? We all as fans say, oh, they need to do this, they need to do that, or get that guy, or get Matisse Thybulle, who's a great defensive player, but then
Yes,
you
he
lose
is.
something offensively.
Yeah.
It's really tough, isn't it, when you've got your players that you like, your core players, and as a unit they're not good defensively. It's hard to upgrade them defensively.
It is, and I've that's kind of why I've always thought I'd just thrown out things in the past that I think they should try, and I don't know that it'd make them better, but I don't think it could hurt them, and that is really pick up 3 quarters whenever possible. Make them use a little more time on the clock to get into scoring position. Might help it a little, and you've got depth. So
Yeah,
the guards
you
aren't, as far as I know, aren't disabled, so they could step out there and get after guys a little sooner, other than Davion Mitchell, and then play more zone and teach it, preach it, use it more just for tempo change. And I think, okay, if that helps you a point or two, then that moves you up to.
It ain't going to make you any worse.
To
right?
19th or 18th.
I mean, the
from
odds are
21st,
it's not. I mean, it's possible. They always say, people always say, well, if you do this, it can't make you worse. Well, actually, I've seen it where it did. So yeah, there's that possibility to say, oh, you can't get worse. Oh, yeah, you can.
That is
And,
true, yeah. People always
but-
say, well, things can get any worse. They don't ever say that because they can always get worse.
They can always get worse,
Yeah,
but because and certainly with this team they can't, because this team's a good team right now for the most part, exceeding expectations. But if they could find a way to get up to 17th or 18th defensively with the offense that they're capable of playing,
That they need to get back to
then
playing.
they can probably stay in the third or fourth positions.
I was looking at this earlier, defensive rating. Let me just tell you that last year, the top 6 defensive rating. You tell me if these teams were any good last year. This is 21-22 defensive rating, top 6. Golden State, Boston, Phoenix, Memphis, Miami, Dallas. Last season, your top 6. You have all 4 conference finals teams, and then Phoenix and Memphis as well, 2 excellent teams. So that would suggest it is pretty important.
I would
not
say,
not
yeah.
defensive rating, that stat per se, but just to be a good defensive team. It's pretty important.
Oh, it absolutely is important. Yeah, I mean, it gives your offense so much more flexibility. I mean, where you can win with a off night.
Yes, it's something you
offensively.
can count on night to
Yeah,
night, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I've always said, there's no doubt that they say defense wins. Well, I've talked about it before.
Yes,
No, it
you have,
doesn't.
yes.
Offense always wins. You have to have the most points, and so that always wins. But if you're good defensively, your offense can score less points and win.
Then you got guys like over here, Mr. Basketball defense, Schmeefense.
That's what I'm saying. Well, if we go from 21, you have to get up to average. Just get to 16 or 17. That's all. That's all I'm asking.
That's where the Warriors are, by the way.
well,
The Warriors are
but
17th this year
Wow.
in defensive rating.
Again, you don't want to go. You had the game against Toronto, which both these last 2 games you played against teams that we've talked about that are probably better than their record, although Minnesota's record's getting close to their talent right now.
yeah.
But I think this is a very difficult one to go back tonight to take a team that's already beaten you, and you're on a 2-game losing streak now, and then you starting off on a 7-game road trip that 4-3 pretty reachable, but if you drop the first 2, mathematically that suggests not so. So there's a lot of pressure on tonight's game. I'm not going to say it's a must win, but I'm going to say I'd like to see a win.
I'd like
to see more than 100
Isn't
points.
every game you'd like to see a win?
Well, that's up to you.
Boy,
that's up to each person individually.
That's going out on a limb.
Yeah, that's up to each person. I'm not putting that kind of pressure on my team.
I've always kind of looked forward to losses. You know what I'm saying? That's,
There are games where I'd like to see a loss right here.
Venom
Yeah.
says tonight is I'd like to see him win.
Yeah,
So,
put that,
yeah.
put that on your internets.
woo.
Drop that a meme. There you go. Yeah, text that out.
Did you guys see what happened to LeBron at the end of the game against the
I did.
Celtics?
I did.
And I think the officials union came out and said we're heartbroken. Didn't they? I
Do
think
you
literally
think
we are
that was
heartbroken.
real? Do you think that was real? Because the more I read that, I said they are just effing with LeBron. Because I'm
I thought
reading
it
that
was
and they're
real.
going, we can't sleep. We have sleepless nights. Bullshit. You guys. First of all, there's. Wow. What? They said we have sleepless nights thinking about that call. They do worse than that every night in the NBA.
Not worse than that.
That they hit the guy. It was an obvious foul.
At the end of the
Obvious
game,
foul.
and
Mike Bibby had his nose broken. His nose got called for a foul. They didn't have any sleepless nights over that. I mean, they've been.
well, it's because that
horrible
was
calls.
fixed.
Well, yeah.
But that's not every
Okay,
night.
so that's
you said
right.
it happens every
Yes,
night.
there are calls as bad as that in every game.
Of course.
I bet there are calls.
Not
And
at
worst
the-
part- well,
not at the end.
Not at
Right.
the end. Not with that impetus on the game. But I mean, when there's a guy watching him and this guy goes down the lane, and it wasn't even one that he's shooting close. I mean, he's stretched out and he hits him on the arm and he doesn't call it. That's terrible, but not surprising. That's the sad part. Not
That's a
surprising.
little surprising to me.
Well, it's LeBron, so it's surprising.
surprising to me.
But I've seen calls like that missed all the time.
Yeah, well, my take on it was I'm glad.
That's solid. I don't
I-
care about the integrity of the game. I don't like the Lakers.
Well,
Yeah.
how many
Come on.
hundreds of times has LeBron been bailed out over the years because he's LeBron? So no, spare me all the.
Jerry, he sank
Spare
to the
me.
floor in tears. He couldn't believe what had happened to him.
No, he couldn't because it's never happened before.
Oh,
he's been
ding
bailed.
dong, wake up.
Yeah, it's like every other player in the league at some point has had a tough situation and gotten not a call when they needed one or it's fair to get one.
Did you see what Patrick Beverly did?
Took
that
out
was
a-
awesome.
He went
Yeah.
and found a camera and
was
just
awesome.
showed
Or
the
phone,
referee
yeah.
the still shot of
awesome.
hey, he got fouled.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Beverly. Yeah, spare me from Beverly, too.
Agree, but still, that was
I
awesome.
understand
was,
what you're
yeah.
saying, but still, put all that it's LeBron aside. The fact that some of us are not his biggest fans, and so on some level,
Some
you're
of
like
us-
see that. But still, that's terrible.
It is terrible.
Anybody at the end of the game go to the basket. But
Yep.
play on.
But why-
wow, that's bad.
Why does LeBron the only one that gets an apology from the Referees Association?
Well, can you name me another time when it's happened this year? Right at the end of a game when a guy's
There's a lot of
A
plays
lot
that
of
happen.
been a lot of
plays that
bad
have happened.
plays at the end. You know,
Every team.
whether it's Tyler Hero getting to travel to make a shot.
Yes, there you go.
Or
well,
who
you
was
didn't
it?
even. I know I didn't even know he traveled.
I didn't either, but
Oh, now all of a sudden it's taking LeBron.
but you're so used to seeing travel that your eyes aren't trained to say, "Oh, that's a travel."
Yeah.
because it's everything is let go. But
It just seemed odd that all of a sudden there's an apology from the referees, which I still don't know if I believe was
It's
real.
because it was so
Yes, it was.
visible and it was
no,
such
no,
a bad
no,
look.
So what
no.
they-
no, fellas. It was because it's LeBron James.
That's my point.
It's LeBron James, and the commissioner probably got involved. Said, "Fellas, come up."
The commissioner called.
Yeah, fellas, we need a
Listen,
bunch
guys,
of
LeBron got fouled at the end of the game.
apologies and whining and whatever because it's LeBron and the Lakers. We
So
can
you're
never let this happen again.
So
Never-
you're saying
you can see the
initially
next
they
video.
wrote, "We regret that we made a mistake. We regret that."
Yeah.
They sent it to the commissioner.
Yeah.
He said, "Nope, we need more." And they
Yeah.
said,
Need more.
"We feel really badly."
Yeah.
And he said, "Nope,
Nope.
got to be more than that. We can't sleep.
Right,
And we,
sleepless
yeah, and we are
nights,
heartbroken."
and
he
my
said,
family
"All right."
means nothing to me
So
anymore
let
because
me
of what I
let me
did.
ask this question. Very important question.
It
you
is
guys can
important.
answer. If I'd been Pat Beverly in the same situation, got hit, how much would have been said and written about it?
Beverly would have
Some
got
because it was on
Some.
national TV.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, not.
Yo,
not
well,
as much.
let me take it a step further. Do you think the officials union would have basically got down on all fours and
No.
and
with LeBron, who is on sinking to his knees on the court. Everybody's down there.
So anyway,
No,
spare me.
but it
spare me.
still would have been very egregious.
Well, it was.
What is
Yeah,
surprising to you that they made a horrible call? It happens all the time.
At the end of the
All
game,
the
when
time.
the guy is like the game's on the line and it's like, whoosh,
Well, it's
oh, we didn't
egregious.
see it.
Yeah, it's-
That's
it
not
happens.
good, Phantom.
No, we've been talking about that all this time. The refereeing is horrible, and
Yeah.
it affects the games. And
Okay,
the
even if it
people
does
get
happen
mad,
all the
but we
time,
also-
it's not good. It's not like,
But-
well, it happens all the time. It's still really
No, I'm not
terrible.
saying it happens all the time, so it doesn't matter. I'm saying it happens all the time. Why are you so surprised by this? And we are outraged, if I may speak for Mr. Reynolds, that the league said, "Oh, now we're going to recognize it after 80 years ago because it was LeBron."
Yes.
because it was LeBron.
You said after 80 years. You just
Well,
said it
I mean-
happens every night for 80 years.
Yes,
The
yes.
league's only been around for 75.
Yeah, but but Jerry and I were around those first
Yeah.
five, and we know exactly what was happening. Before the league was sanctioned, there was a lot of pickup
Yeah,
games that was happening.
it happened to Schenectady, and I remember the
Sheboygan?
I'll tell you what happened to
Sheboygan?
Sheboygan got
yeah.
ripped off. They should have had a chip.
The Moline Blue Dogs. I mean, they got
They weren't blue until it happened.
Yeah.
They were the Red Dogs.
So anyway,
When you have as much replay as I have now and everything that's available in terms of how many officials they have and replay, and then that still happens, it's really bad for the league. It's a terrible look.
It's
the league has
surprising-
enough problems right now as it is without having one of your biggest stars going to the basket with a game on the line, national TV, boom. Yeah, we didn't see
Well,
anything.
here's
no matter who you're
one
rooting
last-
for, that's a bad look.
it's a terrible look, and officiating I think has been unusually bad, and maybe there's some reasons for it. I've thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're under so much scrutiny that sometimes they just gag on not taking
I
calls
agree with
because
that.
Yeah.
everything is second guessed and looked over.
The
just be
officials
like
are choking.
anybody in the workforce. If you got your boss standing over your back looking at everything you're doing
I
all
agree with
day,
that.
you'd probably make more mistakes. But yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, it's to me though. How can you feel sorry for the Lakers? For a lot of reasons, I don't. But But here again, okay, that cost them a game, and here they're supposed to play tonight against Brooklyn, and LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't going to play.
Because LeBron's got a sore arm?
I guess, yeah.
Oh, ow! Is he sinking to the floor on the bench?
Yeah, an owie, and Davis, street clothes can't go again. He's got to wear street clothes. So you can tell my sympathies are not with.
Well, you'd have to think, Jared, wouldn't you, that tonight the Nets were going into that game knowing we're not getting any calls. Mm-hmm. We're playing the Lakers after that whole thing. We're not getting any calls. Now, if LeBron doesn't play, maybe that won't be as pronounced. But going into that game, the league came out and apologized because LeBron got fouled.
And without,
so we're next team in. We're not getting anything.
No, but they will now because LeBron. And
LeBron
Davis
can't make it. Load management, obviously. Yeah.
So Austin Reeves.
He's resting his ego. Yeah.
Yeah. Bryant and Reeves will
be at the line 25 times.
Just for the record, I don't feel sorry for LeBron, but I do feel like it's bad. As a basketball fan, I feel like, it's bad for what I call our league. Benny has a response. Thank you, Benny, for watching. Benny says, woo, let's go, old dudes. Worst thing about the NBA is the refs apologizing to LeBron.
Yes.
Where was the King's apology? That's from Benny. Thank you, Benny.
Thank you, Benny.
Best thing about the NBA is the Caucasian comet. And then he also says phantom cursing is the best. So thank you, Benny. Not everyone taking it entirely seriously, but that's kind of in keeping with what we're doing.
The best
here.
things about it are something I did and something Jerry did. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't feel left out or anything by that.
Well, given that I'm the one that asked the question that prompted the response, I'm
Thank you,
okay.
Benny. Can't say thanks to Benny. I'll just say, hey, F you, Benny. I'll just say that because he enjoys that.
What are you asking me to thank Benny for?
Well, you're the conduit to Benny, obviously.
Thank you, Benny.
Don't.
And the Jets.
Benny likes the Jets.
Yes. Thank you. We
And
appreciate
Aaron
that.
Rodgers is quarterback.
So, if you're watching, just let us know here on the YouTube your answer to the question. Best thing about the NBA right now, Caucasian Comet is leading the poll.
Yeah.
And the worst thing.
Well, he should at 5'9".
Worst
Like
thing.
a robust 5'9".
About the
Yes.
NBA. Yeah. How about a Reynolds rap right now? If you had something on your mind, with Reynolds raps where Jerry lays down some truth. Jerry be spitting.
Yeah.
What?
Well, Jerry's a little.
Jerry be spitting
I've been
times.
bringing this up over the years of different formats and all, and of course nobody listens to me because. Especially higher up. I think fans do, but the higher ups in commissioner's office and those areas.
Did you want Stones to lay down a beat for you here like we did last time, or not really?
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. He's
Drop some bars.
Yeah.
Right.
He'll
Something
get
like
that.
that. I don't know.
Geez, he's a little slow there, isn't he?
really slow.
He's too busy laughing.
My goodness.
You wanted to lay down this show. Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Not Wednesday. Okay,
All
good.
right. Woo. Well, anyway, my take on this whole thing, one of the reasons the NFL is so popular or March Madness is because it's one and done. In other words, there's so much pressure on every game. In the NBA, obviously the regular season, too many games, everybody knows that. You get to the playoffs, and the first round is 7 games. 7 games. For the first round of the playoffs.
Okay.
The championship round is, guess what? 7. Now, common sense tells me that makes no sense. Even baseball, who plays 162 games, they don't. They build up to the World Series.
They have a best of 3 and a best of 5, and
Well, and the NBA used to do that. The first round should be no more than 3.
Oh.
The other round should be 5, and then the championship 7. Oh, all right. What would that do? Well, that means many times the third game would have a lot of emphasis.
Well,
the fifth game would have emphasis.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Now the TV geniuses and the commissioners and all of them, they're saying, well, we've got to do this for more money.
Right.
Well, often, very few times does the first round go 7 games anyway. So you've just wasted that opportunity. My contention is if you had put more, the games were more meaningful, you'd draw bigger audiences to make up for it. And I really believe that. I think certainly a first round of 3 in a game 3 where it's all on the line would mean a lot more than game 4.
Which again, they used to actually do that.
And they used to do that.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. And then just from the aesthetic point of view, it's like, shouldn't your championship round mean more? You know, I mean, shouldn't that be special?
Wow, it's a 7-game
A
series.
7-game series as opposed to, it's just like the first round of, whatever. Anyway, and then it's like I was one of those people against the play-in. But the truth is, it's one game kind of thing.
That's the beauty of it.
Those things,
absolutely.
Those things just as simply are more interesting. And as we're seeing the NBA ratings really not increase, if anything, drop in many cases, it's like, well, maybe you ought to do something different. Okay, so that's it for me.
There you go. Nice
So,
thing. Beautiful.
Commissioner Silver, feel free to call. I've got some rule changes that we can get to, and
He can
I
text
don't.
in on the show if he wants
He can.
to. Yeah.
He can. I don't.
messages.
I'm not.
Commissioner
I don't
Silver.
want your job necessarily, even though, hey, what can I say?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
might.
you'd be
you know,
improve the thing. Sure.
I mean, you might push for me out there.
You
but,
met his predecessor once, right? At least once, Commissioner Stern.
David Stern. Yes, I'm still intimidated by him, and he's been gone several years.
He had a presence about him.
He had a presence. I mean, some of the foolishness going on in the league now wouldn't be going on with David J. Stern in charge.
Speaking
and,
of TV stuff, Phantom, and I know you said too many commercials.
TV stuff, yes.
You know, it's cool. You've probably done this. Sometimes there's 2 games on at once that I want to watch. Sure. And so I got to record one, and then when you watch that one back, and you just free throws, commercials. I got this thing done in an hour 20. I watch the whole game, and I have to sit through Boban. What if I want a new career? He's bouncing it. He's bouncing it. He's bouncing it. He's bouncing it.
And the one where the 3 little kids is. What if it's not really him and it's 3 kids?
Yeah, that's
I
great.
wouldn't want to miss that one.
Yeah, no.
And Patrick Mahomes with the bath bombs. Come on, there's a couple of them. And Paul Giamatti as Einstein. I don't want to ever miss the Verizon commercial.
You know they changed that?
Yes, when they cut some, they have 2 different versions. They
No,
show.
but they changed the beginning of it where he says, my phone is kaput. Now he says, my phone, it's like it's in a time warp.
Oh,
They changed it. It's
well,
weird.
the best
Interesting.
commercial though, and you guys really blown it, but this other stuff.
Okay, all right, that's true.
Is the progressives with John Hamm trying to hit
Flo?
hit on
Yeah,
Flo, and
but they don't show that one anymore.
All she's interested in is insurance. I mean, now you can't.
When you're a smoke show like Flo, you don't worry.
He loves
No.
Flo.
Yeah,
I
always
love
Flo.
I love Flo,
always
too.
love Flo. I like the whole crowd.
Yeah.
I like the dumb guy. I like the girl who talks him into doing it.
Yeah.
Now, you
Those-
mean Jamie?
Jamie, I love
Oh,
Jamie.
yeah.
Jamie's
you-
not the dumb guy. 'Cause
sure you
that
do.
one time when you
Sure.
that when you went to his house and he's a concert pianist and his wife's hot. Oh, it's a fantastic.
Jamie and Pat Connaughton. I'm telling you, it's like
Interesting.
the same
Interesting.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Hamm, by the way, I just saw Top Gun Maverick. Very
Great
good
at
show.
that.
Yeah.
Haven't checked that out.
Great
yet.
show,
Yeah.
great show.
Very good film. Very good film.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, the only guy that probably will at 80 will be able to do action films.
Right.
Maybe I don't know, but that's
Mission
really.
Impossible 21.
Yeah.
that'll
I mean,
try-
it's so good that there's no chance it'll get any Oscars or anything like that.
Yeah, well, it's nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's
Which you
why we
won't-
saw it.
which you won't get
But
because
you
it's
won't
too
get
good.
because
Yeah.
it actually made money.
Too many
Right.
people liked
It's
it.
not artistic
You
enough
have to
or
have
weird enough.
that only the special elite critics knows what
Yeah.
to give you, like choosing ordinary people over the raging bull.
Yeah.
for instance.
Speaking of recent history, yeah.
Yeah, well, are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? Well, Pulp Fiction didn't win. Forrest Gump won.
Yeah.
So what is that about? And
Mr.
don't get-
Blue Sky 82 checking in. Thank you, Mr.
What
Blue
does he
Sky
say?
82. Mr. Blue Sky. You know that song, by the way? I think that's
It's
an
an
ELO,
ELO song, yeah.
You had to hide away for so long. Best thing about NBA now,
Is your
much
singing.
better Eastern Conference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really should read these before I actually read them, but nothing wrong with that. Mr. Blue Sky 82. Worst thing, too many soft fouls called and players complaining
Yes.
after almost every shot they take. Unfortunately, Sabonis and Fox are pretty guilty of this.
Yep.
Welcome to the live chat, Mr. Blue Sky. Bluish
Boy.
Sky. Sorry, Mr. Bluish Sky. I apologize.
Bluish.
82.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's right on there.
Cogent points he's making, yes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's tolerating. That's one of the reasons I think that hurts officiating, because of all the allowed whining, complaining over every call by everyone.
I agree.
I mean, it's just, and then, yes, our guys do it too. And I don't, certainly Fox and Sabonis are just right at the top of where they get smushed or the ball stolen or, I mean, it's like,
Yeah,
come
you'll
on.
see a guy like wham, and then call a foul. It's like, What?
Luca, that's Luca. The Luca Rick Barry impersonation.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
No, it's got to do something about it. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
To me, the best thing about the NBA right now, as somebody who's been a fan for a long time, is all the games that are on TV. And I know there's too many commercials, but I've had League Pass in the past. I have a partial package now. But one of the reasons I don't have the full package now is like there's already more games on than I can watch.
Way too
and it's
many,
like, and it's great because there was a time growing up in Vallejo where you got to watch occasionally the Warriors would be on against the Lakers or whatever, and then there was a game on Sunday, and that was it. And now there's games, at least a game on every freaking day.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
great.
It is. No, and I'm with you. You know, I don't know that I'll pay for the League Pass next year. Maybe the limited because there's so much on.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting paid to watch it, even though there's other things I want to watch occasionally. But but it's great for a basketball fan. You know, now, college games, there's 80 zillion that
There's a million.
that
they have a timeout every
I wouldn't
4
walk
minutes.
across the
Yeah.
street to watch if they were, whatever. But there are a few games, that you look forward to, and they're always on.
And you always watch ARC basketball on the Stones Macquarie Network, too.
Well,
right?
doesn't everybody?
American River College Athletics YouTube is
Yes.
the
Okay,
preferred
sorry.
place you watch.
Sorry,
it.
that's
yeah.
I
Hey,
think-
they've won. They're 6-5 in conference right now.
Well, all I know is if you want good basketball information, I mean, the analyst on that broadcast is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Yeah.
yeah. The play-by-play guy sucks.
I didn't.
That's great.
I didn't say good. I said
He's
amazing.
amazing.
Yes, there can
Yeah.
be different kinds of amazing.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is.
Well,
Yeah.
the one thing though is, I know you're huge fan, so you probably do. But the last couple of times I've turned on a national game, and I think we talked about this last time, the Clippers and the Nuggets. Well, Jokic isn't playing tonight, and neither is Kawhi Leonard. And do you still stick with it when you turn it into a game and you don't know the big guys are playing and they're not?
Yeah, if it's a good game. I understand the point, and you're right, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but there was a game in the Hawks. Well, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I do. I tend to stick with
that's
it,
what
and if it's a good
that's
game.
okay. I mean, that's
we
fine.
just had the Hawks and the Clippers played, was it Friday or Saturday? And it's like everybody played. And it was like, oh, my goodness.
Did you feel like it was Christmas? Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, do they
Wow.
know that this game doesn't mean anything?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Well,
the
that's
problem right
tremendous.
there is that you're really excited because the guys who are supposed to play
Absolutely.
Everybody's doing their job.
Yeah,
You're-
geez.
you're right.
Right.
Everybody showed up to work that day.
Well, that's
Wow.
that's like a bonus. No, it ain't a bonus. That should be expected.
Yeah, seeing Mahomes out there yesterday, your quarterback, I was
Yeah.
thinking, man, that's a load that should be managed.
yeah, you should
Yeah,
not
I don't
be
know.
playing. Yeah, get out
Yeah,
of there. Get
you know,
lost. Yeah.
hold him out till next year.
Yeah.
Kelsey has back spasms 2 hours from
Yeah,
the game.
he
That's
can't-
all right. I'm going to go anyway. No problem.
Yeah, no, that's the difference. And I mean, that is one of the worst things about the league that, as I said, going on Hoops Hype and they list all the guys who aren't going to play. It'd be easier to list the guys who are going to play.
Yeah, shorter list. Yeah.
Shorter list.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Best thing about the NBA, worst thing about the NBA. What do you think? You can shoot us a text, email. You can message us right now as Mr. Bluish Sky and Benny have already done.
Well,
it.
they've been,
Benny was
those
great.
are great
Crushing
answers,
it.
by
I don't
the
know
way.
Crushing it.
who the messenger of the day is. I don't know if it's Benny or Blue Sky.
Yeah,
It's a
close
tough
call.
It's
Close
close.
call.
Well, Benny's the one that said he loved you swearing, so I would think
that
you'd give him
son
the
of
edge.
a bitch. He knows his stuff. That guy. That Benny is right on.
Speaking of amazing, I've really been looking forward to this because it's comeback time for me. It's time for Comp This. This is where Jerry gives us a player.
I love this.
And then if it's a current player, we have to come up with a past player. We both do, and then Jerry decides who's right. Last week it was Klay Thompson.
Right.
I had Dale Ellis, and you had
Rolando Blackman.
and you got the nod.
I got the nod
so
from
you're
the JR.
1-0.
Yeah, I
So
am.
so I think I get to go first.
You get to
this
go
time.
first today.
And the player you gave us last week, Jerry, was Chris Middleton.
Chris Middleton.
Tremendous.
Yeah. So we got to come up with a past player who's a comp for Chris Middleton. And whoever in Jerry's mind comes up with the best comp gets the nod. And I can't afford to be last week I was tanking so I'd get the number one pick this week. But I can't afford
Goes back and forth.
I
each
was
time,
tanking so I get the
that's
number one
not
pick.
really smart.
Yeah.
No.
Jerry, I have a guy who is 6'8", was 6'8", Middleton's 6'7". Chris Middleton for his career 17 points a game. My guy for his career 17.6 points a game. And Middleton, a 3-time All-Star. My guy, a 3-time All-Star. Both good shooters. Forwards, Middleton plays a little off guard, I know. Middleton, he's almost a 90% free throw shooter. My guy was 81% free throw shooter. It's a little different then because nobody shot the 3-ball. So this guy not as good of a shooter, but my comp for Chris Middleton is Bob Butterbean Love.
That's very good. Yeah, Bob Butterbean Love, the Chicago Bulls.
Drafted, I guess, by the Royals, which I didn't realize till I started looking it up.
Yeah, I think he was a
Butterbean
second round
Love.
pick for them, I believe.
Uh-huh.
Of course, second round picks. It's like Willis Reed always told me. He said, "I was a second round pick. I was number 9." That'd be
Yeah.
that would be that'd be lottery now.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of
Right.
focus in on that. But
Yeah.
Bob Butterbean Love, yeah, terrific player. A lot of the same qualities of more. Of course, he's more mid range than
Yes.
Chris, but
Yeah.
then you had to be at that time.
Yeah, if Bob Butterbean
That's
Love
going
was
to be
shooting-
tough to beat that.
Yeah. All right.
No, I always
There you
liked Bob Butterbean Love. He was with Chet Walker, right?
Yeah,
that's
Chet
a
Walker and
great
Sloan
forwards.
Van Leer. I mean, that was a really fun
That's
team.
Ball's
one of
in your
that's
court.
one of the great things about this feature is all the guys that you go through before you get, the honorable mentions.
He's
are just so
stalling.
interesting.
He's got nothing. He's got nothing.
I had a couple of guys that I
Well, a
had.
couple,
One
no.
guy,
No,
I had
one
one guy
guy.
that I'm going to throw by you later, Jerry, because I think this guy's amazing. And then I had one guy who would be near and dear to King's hearts. But then I decided to go really old school. I decided to go into Jerry's sweet spot, a guy who fills it up from the backcourt and also the small forward position. He could shoot the mid-range game. He could score from anywhere. I went with the all-time great Roger Brown.
Roger Brown.
The Pacer, Reggie Miller, step aside, hold my beer, Roger Brown. One of the greatest Pacers, along with Mel Daniels. But Roger Brown is mine.
Roger Brown. You
Score.
win again.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
You win again.
Yes.
My God, Roger Brown. That's he's actually better than Chris Middleton.
Yeah,
but
he
this
is better.
Very similar games as to more so than that was solid.
I like
but-
Bob Butterbean Love, too.
a nice.
I'm going to have to fire my own
Yeah.
coach, 0-2.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that's okay.
Wasn't
But this
Roger
was
Brown
way-
more
that was
of
good.
a front,
Are
more,
you
of a-
gonna
more of a power forward?
No.
Oh, my God. No, the
6'5".
game, son.
6'5".
6'5". He was strong. Sure, he was strong, but a lot of guards were in the Oscar Robertson
Yeah.
game back then. But, yeah, he's a great
Did you say
shooter.
Roger Brown was a guard?
No, he was a forward.
Forward guard, 6'5", 6'6".
Well, he
yeah.
could have, but he played
switched
small
back and
forward.
forth, yeah.
Hey, I watched him about 100 times a year.
You know
Now,
something? I was right. So there you go.
He didn't know what position
Here's
he
what
played,
I
and he
wanted.
won.
I wanted to run a guy by you that was
Okay.
I like these because you go through your mental Rolodex and remember all the teams.
Yeah.
John Drew. Remember
Oh,
John Drew?
John Drew, sure.
I thought he was kind of a Chris Middleton, although he wasn't squeaky clean.
No.
But John Drew was a real
No,
talented forward.
that's an excellent. That's actually better than his too.
Stones, I want to cut that out and send it over to my house.
Wow.
I'm going to save
but
that
You
for
could
now
say
this
anybody
is-
right
now
now.
this
No,
is-
it doesn't
You
count
could
for
say,
two.
Jerry,
Stones.
what about
Yeah.
Santa Claus? You know what? That's a
Jerry,
great pick.
No,
this
let
is
me-
what I'm really saying. Put away Benjamin. Okay, so give Whitey the win on that
No,
one. Okay.
but I mean, this is a little trivia for you that neither one of you guys would probably know.
Okay, fair enough.
That John Drew's last game in college, he played for Gardner Webb.
Okay.
At that time, was defeated by the West Georgia Braves in the NIA tournament. We defeated John Drew.
Listen to this.
We held him to 36.
And you congratulated your guys. Hey, well done.
But my man Tommy Terrific Turner went for 36 too, and Foots Walker had about 25 and 15 rebounds.
Look at you
and-
throwing the offense up there.
Yeah.
Fantastic coaching.
Hey,
what a coach.
Well, we just outscored him.
Yeah, see? That's what I told you. You went by my theory.
Yeah. Anyway,
Right.
Who
Anyway,
was the
John
rookie
Drew.
of the year John Drew was a rookie and a fine rookie, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't know, but you don't get any points for
Jamal Wilkes. I believe it was
this. Well,
Jamal
I believe it
Wilkes.
was
I think
Keith
he was
Wilkes.
a,
Yeah.
yeah, I think he was.
well, you do know he was traded for the rights to Dominique Wilkins, right?
Yeah,
That was not one of Utah's better moves.
No.
Some would say.
Well-
some would say.
I'm 0-2 on the season. You have a player for us, or you want to think about it a little more for next week? Yeah, that's right, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Or for next week.
And
wanna
if you
that.
do have, if you don't, it's fine. But if you
No.
do, we could get some from some
solicit Blue Sky or
podcasts.
Benny.
Bluish, Mr. Bluish Sky.
Bluish Sky.
Yeah.
Excuse
Yeah.
me. Got your
No,
name
no,
wrong. My
I've
bad.
got one for you.
Okay.
John Collins,
All right.
the oft-mentioned
Oh, my gosh.
trade product. John Collins,
Does this
the
guy
Atlanta
have
Hawks.
to be? Does this guy have to be troubled and also almost traded every game? Or
It's okay.
Okay, you
In
can
fact,
throw that in
you know,
there, sure.
Yeah, we won't.
That's
That's
off the
not
top.
part. That isn't part. Just his game. We know.
That's a good
everybody
one.
knows John Collins.
I love
You've
this
seen
game.
him a lot.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I know you have friends with the Hawks, and I know John Collins. You look at his numbers, like, wow, he's a good player. Why have they been trying to trade him for so long?
I think two things. I think they feel like they've got in Hunter a better player that can play the same way, and contract. You know,
Money.
they really
Yeah.
don't feel like they can
afford
both
yeah.
of them.
We can't pay a backup.
And if we could get somebody for John that maybe fits with DeAndre Hunter better,
Okay.
that would make us better. And I would agree with them, and I think that's why they haven't done it, because they haven't been able to do it.
I heard today your friend, Carmichael Dave, saying, "Hey, trade Rashawn Holmes and Harrison Barnes for John Collins."
What?
That's what I heard.
Wow.
Yeah, he was
Well,
spitballing a little bit with Jay Ross.
Yeah, he was probably just hanging out, just throwing ideas up against the wall to see what sticks.
No,
Sorry.
huh? That doesn't do anything for you.
Well, I mean, I don't think it makes you better. It makes you different.
Yeah.
I mean, Harrison Barnes would be more than enough if you were going to do that. Or,
Yeah, you'd think
or
so.
Rashawn Holmes and a pick, maybe.
Uh huh.
No, I mean, I don't mean first round either. I
think
mean, a
that's
couple
what
seconds.
What is their asking price, you think?
I think it's too high. I think they would
That's
like.
why they haven't traded him to this
they
guy,
got
right?
Gobert. He got Gobert because
I mean,
way
they
more.
would probably like somebody like Harrison Barnes and a first round pick.
Sure, yes.
And of course,
right.
who wouldn't? But that ain't. That's kind of the. I think as you get closer to the trade deadline, that's going to come down a lot. So there may be a deal there some way or another. But I would no.
He's a very unique guy on the Kings, isn't he, Harrison Barnes? 'Cause
I think
he's
he
like
is.
a leader too. Lately, he's been a real good player, but I mean, he's kind of like an elder statesman, isn't he?
I think he is, and I mean he's not that old. He's got
Well,
2 or 3 of his best years ahead, in my opinion. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like people always automatically now it's like, oh, he's 30, he's done. Well, have you noticed what's going on around the league?
that guy that got fouled the other night, he's 38.
38, and he's having
well.
Look at
Yeah.
Mr. Basketball.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. Yeah,
yeah.
32.
Harrison struggled. He was 1 for 7 against the Timberwolves, but he still had 13 points. I don't know if you noticed. I put this under here so that because otherwise I put it out there and you're just helping yourself.
And so you don't want me to look at the
Well,
stats.
you can get your own stats, or
Okay.
you can ask, "Hey, can I see your stats?"
Well,
Okay, that's a spirit of cooperation.
yeah,
right
be sure
there.
and look at the plus.
I'm going to look at that's
the
exactly
plus
what I'm
minus-
looking at, Jer.
Plus minus.
Well, there, okay.
Oh, God, yeah.
Man. That's
Me and you
terrible.
may be rolling around on the floor pretty soon.
Jalen
here.
Noel
you know
was
what?
minus
You
11.
can look at the box score when you get your glasses fixed. How about that?
That
You
may
can-
never happen.
All right. Well, I admit I'm a little discouraged. I thought I had it with Bob Love, but I respect the.
Well, that
the
was
final
a
decision.
solid, but not
yeah.
quite to the level
Yeah,
of Phantom.
Roger
you know,
Brown.
he's-
Yeah.
I did have to come out with
know.
a Hall of Famer on you. That was,
Yeah,
that was a
who
tough
you
one.
know that's beloved
And
Indiana.
Jerry and I both like him, and he
it's-
did play against County Hawkins when he was in high
Yeah,
school.
old fashioned 3 A to Z as we wrap it up here. We're back on Wednesday. Yeah, back on Wednesday. And today we've got the letter U. Phantom. So a player for
You go
whatever
first.
reason. Yeah.
I'm going with. I think his name is Epe Udo.
Oh man, that was my guy.
Oh, because I knew there was 2 other guys that you 2 would
Okay,
take.
go
so I was
ahead.
taking Epe Udo,
All right.
who was the number 6 pick in the 2010 draft by the Golden State Warriors.
Right after DeMarcus.
Yeah, I don't have a lot on him. I just took him because, first of all, his last name starts with U.
Yeah.
I thought you guys would take Bano and Wes.
Well,
so
why
I
don't
thought
you go
I'd-
Wes and
well,
I'll
I didn't,
clean up.
because I didn't do
Okay.
that. I was just
But
going to say.
you said you don't have anything
I
on
was
him,
just
so you
going to
didn't do
say
him
he was
either.
the 6th pick in the draft, which just goes to show that 6 picks don't always work out.
Right.
And if you look at that, the 2010 draft, you mentioned DeMarcus. That wasn't a very good draft at all.
Paul
John
George
Wall
was
at
in
number
there.
1.
Yeah, Paul George
Hayward
was 10.
9 and George was 10.
Yeah.
And there were 5 guys in that draft that scored over 10,000 points in their career because Eric Bledsoe also did in the second round. But George, I think, has like a little over 15,000. That's the most. And if you redid that draft, George would go first. And depending on how you feel about DeMarcus, maybe he goes second. I don't know. John Wall goes second. But they're not always going to be great years in the draft. And that was not a
See,
good
I think
draft.
that you're right. I think, and that told the Kings all they really should have known before they picked DeMarcus. You had a draft that wasn't overwhelming,
Right.
And he still went 5th.
Yeah,
'cause
Evan
teams
Turner,
didn't-
Derek Favors, I think.
Derek Favors was like 3rd.
Yeah, he was third.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was
Turner
Turner
was
second.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't want to deal with
Yeah.
DeMarcus, right? Even then, teams knew it was
Yeah,
like,
that's a good
whoa.
point. Yeah.
Oh no, there was plenty of red flags out there. There wasn't any question about that. But I do remember the funny thing about Larry Riley, good friend, was the general manager then, and basically that was his probably only drafting mistake. He'd gotten Curry and Clay and all that and Draymond, but
Not so good
I always
with
remember
Epe Udoh,
right
yeah.
after the draft, he said, we were talking once. He said something about, I got, I said, you got Udoh, how you feel? He said, oh, pretty good. He said, I noticed Bird took Paul George. He said, why do you think he did that? And I said, well, probably because he's a lot smarter than you are.
So you knew it then about Paul George.
No,
I
George
mean,
from
Fresno
Fresno
State.
State.
Come on.
Yeah.
No, I really didn't know
But
it.
you knew Larry knew.
I suspected. I suspected and just wanted to bust his chops because he hadn't made any mistakes.
Epe Udoh, 6 years in the league, the number 6 pick, as you said, Phantom. Career average, I believe, was 3.5.
3.5, yeah, 3.5. But only not a full game. His 36 is probably.
But he still had a major role in Warrior history because he was part of that trade to the Bucks for Bogut. And the interesting thing, and that he kind of laid the foundation for what became the Warrior dynasty in some ways. And as you've told me, the real interesting thing about that trade is that at the time the Bucks had their pick, Monte Ellis from the Warriors, or they could have had Steph.
Yeah.
And they took Monte Ellis.
He's a more established player. And,
Yeah.
that's what you call messing up, ain't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And I mean, Monte was good there
He's
for
a
a
good
couple of
player,
years.
yeah.
But
And Steph, there were a lot of injury questions about Steph Curry.
well, no, there's a lot of at that time. There's a lot of people. Well, can he stay in the league? So
Yeah. It was Epe Udoh, Monte Ellis, Kwame Brown for Andrew Bogut and Steven Jackson. And,
Wow.
And the
That's
Bucks
some
could have had
interesting names
Steph.
in that trade.
Could have had Steph, but we don't trust his ankles.
Well, and who knows? Maybe it wouldn't have worked as well for Steph in
Right.
Milwaukee.
Right.
That's quite
The
honest. I
ankle,
mean,
yeah.
a lot of that does, enter into it. It's it's like the old Steve Nash from Dallas to Phoenix. It's like, well, if he'd stayed in Dallas, he'd have been real good, but he was great in Phoenix. And I think I've always thought, as great as Steph is, he couldn't be in a better situation.
Well, I'll pick with the Wes Unseld then, and I had actually prepared for Udoh, so I need you guys' help. Wes Unseld, wasn't he Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same
Yes,
year?
the same season. What,
With
67, I think?
the Bullets.
With the Bullets, right.
The Baltimore
yeah, yeah.
Bullets.
Undersized
Huge.
center, yeah.
His son is coaching now, right? And he was known for his outlet pass, if I'm not mistaken. He would throw that whoosh, like a baseball outlet pass that was Nolan Ryan-esque.
Yeah, Gus Johnson, Phil Chenier, and some of the other guys on that team.
Yeah. And then eventually he was on the championship team, right? The
Yeah.
78 with that was the
Elvin.
front court.
Elvin
Elvin
Hayes.
Hayes and Wes Unseld.
And Bobby Dandridge.
Bob Dandridge,
Yes.
the Hall of
Bobby
Famer.
Dandridge,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
That was a great team and a very good team. And, Wes, amazing, as you said, Rookie of the Year MVP same year.
And he wasn't very tall, right?
No, he was 6'7",
6'7",
maybe,
6'8".
maybe
I think they
a
list him
Barkley-ish 6'7", maybe
6'7",
yeah.
6'8", but
And he was a great center.
oh yeah, one of those guys that made you better just by being on the floor. The ultimate screen setter, outlet passer. Probably
A lot of screen assists.
Yeah, Jerry
Yeah.
Yo was talking about dislodging people. Nobody dislodged
Nobody
Wes Unseld.
dislodged him.
Yeah, he pretty much stayed. And there were some pretty strong guys in the league
Well,
at that time.
Kareem and all. I mean, those guys, as great as Kareem was, his sky hook was become a 10-foot shot as opposed to a 5-foot shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that he couldn't make it, but he moved West
He moved
nowhere.
up- yeah, absolutely got moved out
And
of
guys always talked about when West screened you, you stayed screened.
Yeah, screen assists, he would have set there. I think
Yeah,
we all agree
yeah.
if they'd have kept that stat back then, he would have been the all-time leader.
6'7", 245, according to Basketball
That was
Reference.
a pretty solid looking
Yeah.
245. Jim.
Well, he 245 when he's in 7th grade, maybe.
His nicknames included the Wide U and the Oak Tree. I never heard him called that, but
They
Yeah.
could have got way better nicknames for him.
Yeah, they coulda, they coulda,
They could have
yeah.
worked on that. Maybe they didn't care at the
what do
time.
you got?
Well, I
If
got
it's
nothing
that
right
easy.
now. The wide U. I don't know. Maybe I'll work on it. I'll come back with
All
something. I
right,
guess.
so
I mean,
Epe Udoh and Wes
and Wes
Unseld.
Unseld.
Yeah, Wes. I got to say, Wes, I got to know his older brother real well, George Unseld. We worked in a lot of camps together. He was a coach at Seneca High School in Louisville, and I'd recruited a couple of players from him and all that. But and George had been an outstanding player at Kansas.
Really?
Yeah. And,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Similar to Wes in the way he played, or
Well,
He was
yeah,
the
but
narrow U.
Really,
Yeah.
pretty much the same. I mean, he was a little taller, not as strong. I mean, he was a real good player, but not like great, which Wes was. So anyway, but it really a nice man. I mean, really come from a great family. I think his father was a police officer and mother a teacher, that sort of thing. My U is one of my favorite guys.
Yes.
Absolutely. One of the most delightful guys to deal with off the floor and had fun with. Beno Udrich.
Yeah.
Beno, the Tasmanian Slovenian.
Okay.
And I remember coming up with that, and Beno liked that a lot. He used to get a kick out of it. I told him once, I said, some lady came up to me, and she's really mad about it, that I was being offensive to Beno. And, I shouldn't. I said, well, he likes it.
Go ask him.
So, I mean, it's like I could care if the fact you don't like it.
Right, as long as he likes it.
It's not nearly as important as whether Beno, since it's him. Mm-hmm. You see the logic there.
Yes, I do.
I even followed that.
And Beno was had a 14, 15-year career in the league, and obviously one of those guys that was a good player, just not as good as you wished he was, type thing. And I've told this story before. One of the classic moves with Beno, I always thought he's the best of a couple things. I mean, his stop, pop, and drop. He'd get that 15-foot elbow shot, kind of like De'Aaron, except he probably makes it every bit as good. But there was no chance he could get all the way to the basket.
So he had to stop.
Yeah, that was as good as it's going to get. And then and Beno was one of those guys that never screwed up.
Really?
Never.
According to
Oh,
Beno.
According to Beno.
According to Beno.
I've always remembered, and I kind of remember doing a TV game at that time, and Beno got stripped at half court for something, just clean as a whistle. Guy just took the ball and went and laid it up, and Beno was pointing at everybody.
And
I told Grant, I said, who else stole that from him? He was pointing at Cousins.
Supposed to be here.
Yeah. What do you I thought, now that's remarkable. When you think about it.
What
when you're,
deflection.
It's a real skill.
That it really is.
I was going to say, we all learn to kind of, skim over our own mistakes. But I thought that took it to great levels to be able to kind of point
That's elite level.
Immediately after the
I
goal
mean,
was taken.
if he had been stripped in a crowd, you could sort of say something. But, I mean, this was at half court.
On the
Open
logo.
floor.
On the
Open floor.
logo. Pick clean.
And
starts pointing before the guy makes the basket.
He was pointing at guys while the guy was going the other way. And I talked to him after the game. I said, "My God, who you blaming there?" Oh, he kind of, bless his heart. By that time he'd thought it out a little bit.
That there was no one else there.
Yeah. But you liked him a great deal.
Oh, I
Great
loved.
guy.
I really, he was enjoyable.
We
Good
used
guy.
to talk to Cedric Maxwell a lot. When we were doing 1140, and we'd have him on. And he would always he'd start. Sometimes he'd just say Beno Udrich. Yeah, right. He would make fun
that's the
of,
way he answered the phone. It seemed like
yeah,
incredible.
It was a good player.
Yeah, no. And I used to argue with Eileen Voisin about him a little bit. She'd always say, it's really Beno. And I think that may be right. But then he came in the league and people call him Beno. So he didn't care.
Yeah.
I said, well.
He's the Tasmanian
And I
Slovenian,
always
so it
tell her,
doesn't
I
matter.
said, well, we call him Beno because he said that's fine. I'll call him Elmer Fudd if he wants to be called Elmer
Was
Fudd.
she the lady that was upset that you called him the Tasmanian Slovenian? Was
No.
that was just a regular.
No, that was just one of those things
layperson.
where
A fan.
Miss Voisin was Klum, and she was right. I think she was correct. But it's like, but he's been going for you. He was called Beno before he got to us. He was called Beno in San Antonio, Beno in Minnesota.
Didn't you? Was it used at Beno Drano, or did I?
Beno Drano?
Yeah, okay. When he make a shot,
Oh yeah. That was,
Beno Drano doesn't work.
No, Beno Clino. I don't know.
Yeah. So there's a lot of pressure to keep it at Beno.
All right.
Beno Kino.
Thanks for being with us. Yeah, if you want to let us know, however you want to let us know, the best thing, worst things about the NBA right now, or you want to play along because maybe you're better at it than I am, comp this. Jerry today asking us for a past player comp to John Collins.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Good
gonna
luck
be
with
fun.
your classes.
It's going to be fun, though.
Be sure and subscribe. Tell your friends. If you don't have friends, tell people you don't like. It works either way.
Yeah.
It does.
We'll see you Wednesday at 10. We'll be back with you on the Old-Fashioned 3.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashioned, and the number 3. at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.